She was 83 years old, living in a hotel room in Sweden when she made this. She had been drawing and painting her own face for 70 years. This is one of the last ones. She was born in Helsinki in 1862. Her father was chronically ill. Her mother worked to keep the family alive. At 11, Helene slipped on ice and damaged her hip so badly that it never healed properly. She walked with a limp for the rest of her life. Then her father died when she was only 14. By 18, she was studying art in Helsinki. By 20, she had a scholarship to Paris. At 22, she submitted a painting to the Paris Salon, one of the most prestigious exhibitions in the world. They accepted it. It was called The Convalescent, a pale child sitting in sunlight, recovering from something the painting never names. The judges gave it an honourable mention. Finnish critics declared a major new talent. A long career lay ahead. She had earned it. In Paris, she studied at the Académie Colarossi, one of the few major academies that took women on the same terms as men. She painted alongside Finns, Swedes, Russians, Americans, all of them young, all of them ambitious, and all of them convinced this was where modern painting was being made. She travelled to Brittany, where French naturalism was at its peak. Painters like Jules Bastien Lepage had stripped the academic gloss off rural life and replaced it with grey light, ordinary people, and a kind of patient, unsentimental looking. Scherbeck absorbed it. You can see it in The Convalescent. You can see it in everything she would later refuse. Then she went to Cornwall, twice. She worked in the village of St Ives, where a colony of British painters were doing something similar to the French. She showed the work in London. She moved between 3 countries and 4 languages and was good in all of them. She painted shore cottages, sea light, and the inside of a bakery. By 25, she'd seen everything a young European painter was supposed to see. She had the training, the connections, the technique, and the appetite. She had walked through the centre of European painting. Then, her engagement to her fiancé was ended. The reasons are lost, the pain was not. She returned to Finland and took a teaching post in a small railway town called Hyvinkää, about an hour from Helsinki. She did not intend to stay long. She stayed for 20 years. Paris connections closed, the European shows moved on, the art world forgot her name before most of it had learned to say it. Most accounts call those 20 years a defeat, a talent swallowed by a small town. Those accounts are wrong. What was happening in Hyvinkää was stranger than retreat. She was taking herself apart, piece by piece, painting by painting. She was removing everything that did not need to be there, and she was using her own face to do it. The earliest self-portraits are conventional, a young woman carefully rendered. You can see the brushwork, you can see the training. By the 1900s, something had shifted. The background has gone, the detail has thinned, the eyes are doing more of the work. By the 1910s, the face is barely a face. Tone, plain, a few decisive marks. The likeness is still there. The likeness, however, is not the point. She's painting what a face feels like from the inside. Look at the work she was making, not the famous late skulls, the work in between, the portraits from the 1910s, the 1920s, the 1930s, strangers, sitters, faces she passed in the street, singers, sailors, factory workers on their way to work, a girl with red cheeks and tired eyes. The faces are flat, backgrounds are almost nothing, a wash of colour, a few decisive lines and a person looking back at you. Strip the dates off these paintings and they look like they were made 80 years later. The dissolving red-haired girl could hang in any contemporary gallery this year. The factory women on their way to work look as if they were painted last month. She was 60 years old, alone in a Finnish railway town, making paintings the rest of European art would not catch up on for 2 generations. And almost nobody was watching. By the 1930s, Finland had remembered her. A major retrospective in Helsinki brought her back into the public view. Critics were astonished. Here was a woman in her 70s producing work that looked like nothing else being made in Europe. Not expressionism, not abstraction, something that had evolved alone in a railway town into its own private language. She became famous again almost overnight in Finland. The rest of the world looked the other way. She kept painting. The 1940s portraits are the ones people find the hardest to look at. The features have been stripped back to the bone. The eyes remain, the flesh is almost gone. She's painting her own mortality with complete steadiness. No sentimentality, no terror, just looking. One of the last self-portraits is barely a face at all. Half in shadow, half in nothing, almost gone, but still looking. She died in 1946 in a hotel in Saltsjöbaden, Sweden. She had fled Finland 2 years earlier as the Soviet Union threatened invasion. She never made it home. In Finland, she's a national treasure now. Her paintings hang in the major museums. Her face has appeared on currency. Scholars have written about her for nearly a century. Outside Finland, almost nothing. She's not in the standard art history curriculum. She's not in the galleries that define the canon. The artists we name when we talk about this period, the ones who stripped painting back to its essentials, who found the interior life of a face, are almost all men, almost all working in Paris, Vienna, or Berlin. Helene Scherfbeck was doing it alone in a Finnish railway town, 20 years before most of them began. Geography was what decided her legacy, not the work. She painted her face for 70 years. The world looked away for most of them. The question is not why she disappeared. The question is how many others like her we missed.